Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap, your nightly news podcast on all the news that I come across throughout the day, giving you my take as somebody who aspires to be a politician in the near future. Hopefully, all you guys are doing wonderful. Hopefully, all you guys are doing well. Today is August 28th, and it is Thursday. It's been a great week. This is the last week of classes, or the last day of classes, sorry for me. And I'm going to go on and have a little 4-day weekend, which is super exciting. It also just started pouring rain outside, so yeah. Anyways, hope all you guys are doing well. I'm repping the Peyton Manning jersey. I thrifted this yesterday and it was $30. What a steal. I was so excited. So, nice little new jersey in the collection. And since I'm in Denver, figured I might as well. With that being said, though, hopefully all you guys are doing well. I know I say that a million times, but, and let's get into the news. Also, if you're new here, subscribe. Anyways, moving into the Trump administration segment, as we do, Tulsi Gabbard has outed an undercover CIA officer. Tulsi Gabbard has revealed the name of a secret CIA officer and Russian expert in a post on Twitter when she stripped the security clearance and essentially ended the officer's 30-year career. The officer had been slated for an overseas posting, but instead was one of 37 ousted by the Trump administration. Excuse me, sorry. Gabbard claims that this was because those targets abused public trust by politicizing and manipulating intelligence, leaking classified intelligence without authorization, and or committing international egregious violations of tradecraft standards. This sounds a whole lot, like the current administration. Some would say deflecting, if you will. As we know, Trump likes to blame others for all the things he does that, are bad for this country. I'm once again not very shocked that this is happening here. Our intelligence company or our intelligence community has taken a big hit with this one. Absolutely. We've seen that throughout this administration where time and time again, national intelligence or national security has been put at risk. And that has also been done here, which is truly unfortunate that we have to see such a successful officer essentially have their career gone by a Twitter post. Isn't that crazy? Anyways, moving on, a January 6th rioter is getting a full military funeral from Donald J. Trump. The Air Force has offered a full military funeral to offer Ashley Babbitt, the rioter who was shot by the police on January 6th during a raid on the Capitol. Babbitt was an Air Force veteran who went to Washington to protest Trump's defeat in 2020. And then she tried to climb through a broken window when she was shot and killed by Capitol Police. Of course, there was a big movement, I believe, a few years ago that's kind of continued every once in a while, but I believe it was a majority of a few years ago. I think it was like right after January 6th when this big movement came out for her after she died. But, I'm going to be blunt with this one. A full military parade for someone who attacked our nation's Capitol building, totally seems like a great way to use our taxpayer dollars. That's sarcasm. January 6th rioters are bound to get a shit ton of support from this administration. And that's fucking stupid. Genuinely, that is so fucking stupid. They all went to Washington and walked down that street and tried to charge their way into the Capitol building with an attempt to kind of change the election. Essentially, that was, the goal, to change the results of the election. I mean, what happened on January 6th was an attack on our nation's democracy, like flat out, just as we are seeing here with the administration today. And the fact that that is continuously not recognized by millions of people within the United States is a fucking problem that is going to change one day. I will guarantee you that much. But we shouldn't let all these people forget who they were. They should still have to remember you supported that. You are a part of that. You were a part of the problem. And, there are a whole lot more things I could say from there, but I think we're going to move on. Anyways, moving on to a segment about the CDC, which is the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. In case you didn't know, the CDC director has been forced out as top officials are looking to resign as well. The Centers for Disease and Control and Prevention has been shot at essentially by the Trump administration as they have fired the agency's director after they refused to resign. Susan Moneris said she was resisting being outed by RFK Jr. for political reasons. Along Alongside this, at least 4 top officials also announced their resignation, including Dr. Deborah Awery, the chief medical officer. I don't know. Sometimes my spelling is interesting. I am not the greatest speller, I will say that. But anyway, she is the chief medical officer. Dr. Dimitri Daskalasis, that is pronounced horribly, I'm sorry, who is the director for the National Center of Immunization and Respiratory Disease. Dr. Daniel Jurigan, the director of the National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Disease, and Dr. Jen Layden, the director of the Office of Public Health Data, Surveillance, and Technology. What we've witnessed so far in health by this administration has been truly, truly horrendous and scary. It is an attack on the health of all Americans throughout the country, and I genuinely mean that. Like, the amount of possible advancements we've lost, the amount of researchers we've lost, the amount of research in general we have probably lost is insane. Just as this administration continues to attack all of us day after day, like, they do not care about the people, they care about the profits, and they care about making more money, which is a problem. So many people need to recognize that money isn't a great thing, and leads to the attacking and the abusing of so many people throughout the world. Anyways, in some more positive news from this one, CDC employees have staged a massive walkout. Staff and ex-leadership for the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention walked out of the agency's headquarters in Atlanta, protesting the Health Secretary RFK Jr. and his public health policies, along with the firing of the CDC Director Susan Linares. Hundreds of staffers and protesters demonstrated outside of the building this afternoon. They said this is in order to get politics out of public health and let the science lead us. This is great news and absolutely massive. What we've seen with public health throughout this administration is horrifying. I know I just said that, but not shockingly, RFK Jr. is fucking terrible at his job. I mean, who would have thought the guy who thought vaccines were a terrible thing would be terrible at his job? We have some of the most unqualified people in this administration running the country, which needs to be fixed before they burn it to the ground even more than they already have. But we're going to have to wait a little bit, unfortunately. Anyways, moving on into our ICE segment, we are going to still talk about some good news here, as the Everglades facility is moving to close within days. The ICE facility in the Florida Everglades, named Alligator Alcatraz, is scheduled to be closed any day now. The facility is expected to be shut down to 0 inmates within the next 3 days, I believe, or the next few days. Around there. From then on, would work to completely shut down the entire facility, demolishing it, removing it all, which is a great thing. Of course, this came after the ruling after last week that required the facility shut down due to it being like an attack on the local habitat and, light pollution and all of that. The closing of the closing of this facility is a huge win, but all of them need to be shut down, of course, and the people inside of them need to be freed. These facilities are a basic attack on human rights, and that is very obvious, like very, very obvious. It is against people looking for an opportunity and looking for a chance, which needs to end. It is so crazy that these facilities continue to operate and to exist. It is storming, sorry, and exist, and no repercussions are made. It is genuinely insane, and it needs to end. Fuck ICE and fuck Donald Trump. It is really storming outside. Like, the trees are moving. Like, it's windy, it's raining. Holy, it's been like this for a few days now. We've had a few storms. I have learned very quickly that Denver weather is, or Colorado weather, if you will, is very, very interesting. Anyways, moving on into our final topic tonight. Mexico is suspending postal shipments to the United States. Mexico has announced that they will be suspending package shipments to the United States ahead of the country's tariff and ahead of the end to the country's tariff exception. Holy English. This follows the announcement made by the EU and other countries that they would be doing the same. This is a huge deal, as in 2024, a total of 1.36 billion packages came from Mexico to the United States, and this means no mail at all will be sent. This sucks in so many ways, but the most particular reason I thought of personally, was the connection for families. I'm sure many families throughout the United States and Mexico frequently send each other letters because not everyone has access to a phone or anything like that. And this removes that availability for many, which I'm sure definitely sucks a lot. A lot of people use mail and a lot of people use writing letters to talk to people that they care about. And I really hope we can see a resume in this because mail is, a very important thing for communication for one, but, also just for getting information and, talking to people. With that being said, though, I hope you all enjoyed today's episode. It has been an interesting one, that's for sure. If you're new here, please subscribe. We are on our way to 500 subscribers on YouTube, and I would really appreciate all of the support. It would be super cool. Outside of that, though, if you're on Substack, please also consider subscribing. All funds go to me. They'll help me pay for the things that I will need to pay for in college, like food, like clothes, like all those kinds of things. But if not, you can always subscribe for free. I truly do appreciate all forms of support on this content. It means the world to me that so many of you continuously watch my videos day after day. You guys are so goated. You guys are legends. Have a good one, everyone, and I will see you all in tomorrow's episode.